Melanie Beckler here with Ask-Angels.com. In this video, I am so excited to have a special guest, my husband, my
Hello.
Spiritual life partner, and also the person who does so much amazing work behind the scenes on Ask-Angels.com, Miles Beckler.
Hello.
And so in this video, we're going to talk about spiritual marriage, and I figured what better way to talk about spiritual marriage than to have the person I am married to and experience a spiritual marriage with on the YouTube video.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah,
so
it's been a while.
What is a spiritual marriage?
It's a pretty deep question right there. It's a loaded question. I think a spiritual marriage, in my personal opinion, is one that honors the individuals as much as honoring kind of the couple and the definition of marriage or the idea of marriage, but really honoring each individual's path at the same time, because we're all on different paths, we're all at different parts of our paths, and that needs to kind of maintain and be a part of it. And I think that's what we've got going on in a kind of a cool, fun way.
So really allowing each other the room to grow and providing, like, I see our spiritual marriage, our marriage, as providing this safe space for each other to
Absolutely.
grow and evolve and ascend and connect with more light, even if that means changing in ways. So one thing that I've heard when people talk about relationships that I totally don't agree with, and I just want to mention, is like, just return to that day when you first met and just treat each other like you first met. Don't you think we've
Evolved.
grown more
Yeah.
in love, and like
Yeah.
our relationship is
So,
even more powerful now?
You've heard me mention this before, and I'll kind of express it here, is I've got a theory of kind of the stages of relationships and the stages of ourselves with relationships. And it's kind of like you get to a point, there's like codependence, there's independence, and then there's interdependence, right? And when we met each other, I think we were bouncing somewhere between independent and codependent. And what we've done through building our business together, building our life together, building our marriage together, is created this new form. We went into independence, we were very independent, and now we're in interdependence, where together we're able to create more, or with more power and more light than each of us individually attempting to create separately. And when we first met, to kind of tie that back to what you were just saying, when we first met, we were both barely independent, right? Like, we were out of college, like how do you do this life game? Like, money, I don't want to play that game. I just want to, like, stay in the fifth dimension and meditate all the time. And so we've had to go from that and grow into this new level, and now you support me so much in what I'm doing, and I have the honor of supporting you in what you're doing. And like, it's really cool what's coming out of that, and it's bigger than either of us, I think, even assumed or recognized.
Yeah, and I think it just continues to unfold as the universe and our higher selves show us like what is really possible through us coming together. And like, a lot of people use the terminology like your better half or your worse half, with this idea that you're not complete, like that we're not complete. And I think that's like a part of what you're getting at with the interdependence. And like, so even though we're twin flames, we are each complete beings, and each of us standing in our own power and light and vibrantly shining and like living authentically as Melanie, and Miles living authentically as Miles. Then we come together as Miles and Melanie, and together our energy intertwining is just so powerful.
Right. It's like the concept, right? If you have two candles burning separately, there's only so much flame, but the moment you even put them together, the flame that those two candles create together is stronger and brighter than both of the flames individually. And that's what's going on. It's not like one flame's keeping the other flame lit. It's that kind of convergence. And if you look at what we do, like, I get pretty geeky and nerdy. Like, I love the back end, the web stuff. Like, I love that. I thrive on that. I spend hours reading books, and that's a passion of mine. I love the spirituality side as well. I meditate multiple times every day. I'm really into the law of attraction and manifestation and the power of the subconscious mind. And I read a lot of the older books on some of that stuff and a lot of old channeled messages on that. But we have very different tastes. Like some of the people you follow and you read, like I'm not, and that's okay. Like we're supportive in that, and we give each other the freedom and the space, and we come together for things that we do together, and that we just support each other in the kind of individual things that we like to do, and we found a really cool balance.
Yeah, it really is beautiful, and I think some people watching may want to bring more spirituality into their marriage, and so I think it would also be fun if we share a few of the things that we do, because some people have asked us, and there are some specific things that we do to stay connected and kind of connected to spirituality. So do you want to share?
Yeah, I've got three things, two major things off the top of my head, and the third one was like a hidden benefit. First and foremost is meditation. When we first met, when we attracted each other into each other's lives, we were both listening to meditations for multiple hours a day. I was very not happy with my life at the time before we met. I was just coming out of like my dark night of the soul. I thought I had a business thing that was crumbling. I had just racked up $50,000 in student loan debt. The economy was going through all sorts of crazy stuff during the global financial crisis. And I didn't even have a place to live. I was like living with friends at the time, and it was very, it was a challenging time in my life. The only like respite I had was putting in earbuds and listening to isochronic meditations, affirmation meditations. And some days I would meditate 2, 3, 4 plus hours a day because it was the only thing that felt good. To find out when we met at real estate school, actually, you were doing the same thing on your end. And
meditating a ton, and we totally attribute that to bringing ourselves into vibrational alignment with each other.
Totally. It was a vibrational alignment of we both got ourselves up to a certain point and we met. Real fun fact, we both were on the same street in Denver, Colorado for New Year's about 3 years before we met. So the universe gave us an opportunity to meet each other, but we were not in a vibrational alignment.
We were both drinking, we were out
partying,
with friends, like
right.
We were not in that
and if
twin
we met,
flame,
we probably wouldn't
centered.
have liked each other. Right, because vibrationally we weren't there, but the universe gave us another opportunity to meet.
And in meditating, we aligned with that.
Right. So it's that goes back to the independence, interdependence, right? It's we have to take care of ourselves first. Right? We got to fill our cup up before we can overflow, and that's a big part of what we did. The second one, I think, is how much time we spend in nature together and having that hobby of hiking in nature together. And our hiking in nature often turns out to be an interesting kind of masterminding. We walk here, so we're in New Zealand right now, we're near the beach, and we walk on the beach 2 times, 3 times a day, usually. And we talk about everything from our crazy world, politics, spirituality, light, ascension, marketing, email stuff. Like literally, it runs the gamut. But what's and that's not as important as the fact that we're taking time multiple times a day to stay on the same page. We communicate very, very consistently. We get out of the house, we get away from our phones, away from our laptops, away from all of our devices, and we just communicate. And it's what's on your mind, how's everything going? Because we're often working in separate parts of the house. You know, we don't like work right next to each other all day. We interrupt each other all the time when we do that. And that's been a really big thing. And I think the third thing, sorry, I'm kind of rambling, but I want to get number 3 out.
This is good stuff.
Is the fact that we decided to co-create this business together. And I don't think everyone needs to co-create a business together, but co-creating something together. And I mean, like for a lot of families, that's a child, right? Is that a weird thing to say, co-creating a child? But we both have decided to pour our energy into something that is bigger than us, that we feel can contribute to the ascension process of the world. And the belief is if we can get 1 million people a month listening to the meditations that we create, we can have a positive shift on consciousness. And so it's like, it's a bigger goal that's bigger than us. It's bigger than anything.
So how can you assign some deeper levels of meaning to your relationship?
And it could be a local thing. It doesn't have to be web-based. It doesn't have to be big like we do.
You could volunteer together. There's so many ways to give back
group
and
meditation
be of service.
in your local area.
And I think doing that together,
it's a thing we focus on.
I wouldn't have even said that if I was doing this video on my own, so I'm so glad you came.
It's something we focus on
really
together from different angles. Our unique personalities get to come through, and we're co-creating something that's bigger. So it takes it off of us, because we're not doing any of this stuff for us. It's very much to get it out, and so there's that bigger kind of like, I think it pushes us to get through the challenges, because we've seen a lot of challenges building this business.
And to kind of like jump off of that, I think another thing that we do for each other is to not take things personally, or if we find when we are taking something personally, to realize okay, I was triggered by that triggered a negative emotion in me, so back to this emotional release process. So what is my higher self trying to learn here? What internal imbalance is that showing me? It's not Miles' fault. I don't need to blame Miles. Like, don't blame your partner. Recognize that your partner is a mirror for you. And so if they're acting in ways that you don't like and you find yourself judging them, realize that that's showing you something about yourself. Relationships are some of the greatest mirrors and teachers. And so I think if you're able to view your relationship, even if you're experiencing challenges in your relationship right now, realizing that it is a mirror, and that as you grow and expand and tune into more of your light and clear out your emotional baggage and heal and ascend, then your relationships are going to mirror that back and reflect that.
And I think that's normal. I mean, like I've said before, that I think being married, it's been the most challenging and rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. I mean, at one point we were kind of all in on our business, and we weren't as far along as we thought, and we had to move back in with my parents in their tiny little house at the age of what, like
thank you, Becklers.
30. Like, thanks, Mom and Dad. But it was a very challenging time, right? And through that, like, it made us stronger. But what you said and what we did in that situation was more self-work. Like, yes, we're building something together, but ultimately I think it is a lot of that personal development and continuing to grow. There's always there's always more exciting stuff, and the path continues to unfold.
Just continuing to focus on, like, how can I be more authentically me and support Miles in being more authentically Miles, and each of us standing in our light and authenticity and truth and raising our vibration. Then together we're magic.
And everyone, including you, has something special inside of them to share with the world. And it doesn't have to be a web-based thing at all. It could be a local community thing. Like, it can manifest in so many different ways. But realizing that that's there, honoring that, meditating and listening for that small voice inside, and then just putting it out and being supportive of each other, putting it out has been really big. And
just to kind of like wrap this up, if you haven't attracted your soulmate, your twin flame, your amazing spiritual partner, remember this little insight that we snuck in there, that what attracted us into each other's lives was self-work, was meditation, was self-love.
Without a doubt.
We each independently brought ourselves into a state of self-love. We raised our vibration to where we were at a point where we were ready for each other. And then the universe responded. So keep loving yourself, keep doing the work, keep shining your light, and it just will have so many amazing benefits that ripple throughout all it is. So thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you again to Miles for coming on the YouTube channel. If you liked this video, if you liked having Miles on the channel, please comment below and let us know. Let us know what other topics you would like to see us teaching about together, and maybe we can have him back on the channel again soon.
Absolutely.
If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, and then I'll see you soon.